way from Hawaii. That would be Hawaii for you, I don't know, non-Hawaiians? Layman? Yeah.
Layman?
Hawaii. In Hawaii, a lot of the W's are like a V. It's like Hawaii. Yeah.
Hawaii.
So, don't try that at home, kids. But welcome back to the show. Another episode of Mini Life. I am your host, Mini Mike.
What up, everybody?
With...
Oh, Mike, what was going on? What's going on?
We actually had the timing right on that one, and I stepped on it.
Right?
That is my fault.
You did. That was your bad this time.
I'm your host, Mini Mike, and...
What up, everybody? I'm your handsome-looking host, Scrappy Tool. Welcome back to a better podcast.
Oh, and we are joined. That was pretty good. That was pretty good, and I stepped on it, and I apologize to everyone out there. We are here with our lovely new friend, Nicholas, perhaps? Nicky?
Nick's fine, but, well, I mean, whichever you want to refer to me to, I don't mind. Yeah, I've been called worse.
That's true. I like a good nickname, so I'll probably try to think of something.
You think you can think of a nickname? I've got 2 or 3 that my friends use, usually coming from being drunk in my youth. So,
so it's probably the same as Sean.
I could divulge them. They might never leave me alone. I'm not sure.
Let's play it safe.
Yeah, we'll stick with Nick for now. But I mean, if you come up with something, let me know.
Alrighty. Well, I'll keep my my mind churning throughout this podcast to figure out a new nickname for you. It might just be a nickname because it's nickname.
Oh, I like that.
That's not cool enough.
Nickname for nickname.
Nickname for Nick.
It's like nickname inception.
Yeah.
We'll call you a Knickerbocker for a while, but so Nick, we've been chatting for a little bit. I've been following his project on Instagram, so why don't you guys go check it out? It's Nick's with an S _projects. Check it out while we're talking. He also has a YouTube. We'll plug that in a bit here. We'll talk about that. That you've been documenting, and we'll jump into that. But he sent me a little blurb, so I'm actually really interested because this seems like a hectic story here.
There's a lot of history.
A lot of history. Yeah. I don't want to spoil it. 7 minis, 3 of them crashed. 3. So there's a lot to dive into here, Nick.
Yeah.
So the first question I usually ask, and I know Nick, I'm not to put you on the spot, he's new to podcasts, so welcome him with open arms, everybody. I'm assuming since he's new to podcasts, this might be his first podcast, and there's nothing scary about it. We're just having a little chit-chat with each other. But Nick, the first question we usually talk with our guest about is, why the Mini? What got you attracted to the Mini, or however you want to phrase that question? Was it a family thing, or what kind of got you going down this rabbit hole?
I guess my earliest memory of a Mini would be my nan. She had a 78 S-Reg, probably, what's the orange? The volcano orange. I remember that when I was a little kid. And when it came to sort of passing my test, there were 2 roads I was going to go down. It was going to be Minis or Beetles. I had friends with Minis. I had friends with Beetles. And it was just one of those, I didn't know which to go down. And I passed my test, still didn't have a car. And I said to someone I worked with, I was either looking for a Mini or a Beetle. And she said, "Oh, my granddad's selling his Mini." And that was it. There was the decision made for me. It was just the fate of one being available cheaply, locally. And that kind of, that was it. Boom. Okay, I'll get that. And it was like a, what's the expression? Like going down the rabbit hole. Honestly, yeah. I had the car as standard for a year. As soon as my insurance dropped, then you start mods. That's it. It's wheels, it's engine, stereo system. It was, this is the late end of the 90s, so max power era, and I didn't have max power. I had min power.
Wait, can we? What's max power again? Max power. What was that like?
It's a car magazine, so it was like like you guys said, maybe tuner cars.
Tuner
people
cars,
would
right?
go with
Hot
body
import,
kits,
nice, Mike.
tune-up engines. Yeah,
okay,
generally they looked good, but when you started looking closer, there was a lot of filler, and
was
it
a
had
lot of
a
filler.
really basic engine underneath. It looked and sounded amazing, and it was like a little tiny engine sitting under the bonnet. Some of them were
It's
done
like
nicely. Like, there was a lot of really heavily modded turbo cars,
it's
but
like
most
Fast
of
and the
them
Furious
were,
spec stuff.
yeah, Fast and Furious, but with like a 1 litre underneath. It
Yeah,
looked
more
like
riced
Fast and
out.
Furious, but yeah. So
All
yeah, it
right, all
started
right.
off as that, and so snowballed into a 1300 MG Metro engine and alloys, and yeah, that lasted not long. One of the crashed ones.
Dun,
Oh
dun,
no.
dun.
Yeah,
So this was when you were a teenager, you were saying?
yeah. I passed my test at 17, so about 6 months after my 17th birthday. Passed my test, got the 1 litre engine, the 998 Mini City, as you were it was the standard cheapest low end Mini that you could get, and and it was second hand. It was about £350 I paid for it.
Oof, wow.
Yeah, I know, which in 1999, or 1998, sorry, that was a lot of money to me, on
Yeah.
£2 an hour.
Yeah.
I got that, and yeah, I couldn't afford to do anything but run it for the first year. But as soon as I'd had a year of driving it, and you get used to maintaining it, and the ball joints and all the rest of it, and the general breakdowns, having a set of points and a toolkit in the boot, and then your mates go, "Oh, minis are cool, I'll get one." So you end up fixing your mates' cars, and it just becomes a clan of people that you have around you, where everyone's like, "Oh, this is really cool, I'll get one of these." And I got a bigger engine, they get bigger engines. I had a few, yeah. The 1300 came to a demise on an enthusiastic drive down a country lane, as you could well imagine it does. Um, I'd just done a steering drop bracket, and no one had kind of said at that point, when you lower the steering column with a drop bracket, you have to undo the rack and rotate it round. Otherwise, you've got the rack coming out at that angle and the steering column at that angle, and you chew the splines off the end of the steering column.
I never
So
knew this.
yeah, well, it's well worth checking. Anyone who's done this, you should know. Unbolt the rack, just loosen the bolts off so that it will swivel. Put
Yep.
the steering column on, then drop it, then do them up. Because
Yep.
I chewed the splines off the bottom of the steering column, came to a 90-degree bend, and went,
Oh.
yeah. And I made it halfway around the bend and ended up sort of flopping into a ditch because, yeah, I like the fireworks that went with that. That was
incredible.
that wasn't me.
That was incredible. What an
Did you
ending
do
to the
that?
story. For those that are just listening, he's telling this story about driving off the road on his Mini, and fireworks appear on his fireworks appear.
Before, but this is an iPhone I'm using, and I've had it happen before on a FaceTime with the wife. Just chatting away,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, fireworks happen, and it might be in gestures, but
It's
not
gestures,
my doing.
yeah.
It did it.
That's
I looked it up
fantastic.
one time because I remember like people were using their iPhones and they like gave a thumbs up and little thumbs up or hearts were popping up and stuff.
It's not doing
like
that. No.
it only does it sometimes. It's so weird, but like it's always at the perfect moment.
Someone's sitting there watching this, going, "That's the moment for fireworks."
That's it.
Everyone's when they're watching it with it before me saying that, they're probably like, "Damn, Mike's getting good at this editing thing." Throwing in fireworks and stuff. Pew pew.
Live fireworks. Yeah.
Oh man, that's
geez.
funny. Well, that's a crazy story though. So Sean, it sounds as if you need to go fix yours before you bring it back on the road.
I might have to revise a few things.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nick.
Take it back up, undo it, bring it back down again. What I have heard before is people just go, "Oh, I'll undo the rack," and it doesn't move because you've not reset it to where it is, and then you bring the rack around. But yeah. So after that, obviously, that was a very big learning lesson. Also, that drum brakes in a 1300, not a good combination because they work from 70 to 0 once. It's old school ABS.
Once.
So they work. You can't lock them unless you really, really try. And once you've done that, you'll go back off, go back on, and they're like, "Nah, sorry, that's your lock."
Brake fade is a terrifying thing.
There was a lot of brake fade, and it kind of made me think, okay, the next one needs to have disc brakes. because I cooked them on more than one occasion with the 1300. Obviously, being 4 people up in a 1300, gunning down country lanes, you're going to run out of brakes real quick. Yeah, so you learn every time you fall off the road. You go, that was too far. Yeah.
The speed
All
was
right.
all
Learning the
right, but the
limits.
corner was too tight.
The corner was too tight. The steering didn't work enough. Yeah. I guess every time you fall off the road, you learn from it. And the joy of minis being everyone goes, oh, they're dangerous. You're not actually going fast enough to hurt yourself really bad. I mean, in that crash, my mate who was in the passenger side bruised his knee on the door handle. I ended up with some cuts because it wasn't even a laminated windscreen. It was a one of the ones, they call it triplex, I think it was. So it just shattered into a million pieces, million-piece jigsaw puzzle crash. So yeah, it did that, and I got a few cuts from that because it was just all over me. We climbed out of the car and thought, oh shit, what do we do? Sorry, pardon my language. Oh no, we'll say if you want to edit that.
oh darn.
Whoops.
Poopy.
Oh, hairy. Oh yeah. So we climbed out the car. My mate gave me a lift home. My dad and me went back the next day and dragged it out, but it was trash. The A pillar up to the roof had caught a tree or something on the other side, so it had bent the A pillar up by the windscreen, which is what had made it shatter. And my dad couldn't get his head around the fact that, why is the steering wheel pointing wrong? I said, because I turned it. He said, you were just going too fast. No. The wheel didn't go. I said, so after it took a little while, we pulled it off. He was like, oh yeah, I see. Yeah. This is one of those educational moments. Yeah, thanks, Dad. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, yeah.
I mean, that was the
now
end
you're
of the first
learning
one.
about the mini. Yeah.
That was the end of the first one, but obviously it became part stoner. So the engine came straight back out. The 998 went in, and that got sent to the scrapyard. I kept the wheels. I'd kept everything. So engine and wheels, exhaust, back off the car, put it back to standard, off to the scrapyard, and then Mini number 2 comes along, and it all goes back in Mini number 2. Mini number 2 was run around for about 2 years, and that one was killed by diesel on a roundabout. Bus had emptied its fuel tank on a roundabout. So you come into a roundabout, again, spirited driving, but not outside of what I'd done round there before. And you come into a roundabout and you turn, and all of a sudden you find, oh, why am I going this way? So you turn that way and you bury the throttle, and my front wheels were absolutely, there was smoke billowing off the front wheels of the car as it's sliding sideways, and that went sideways into a curb and up, and the roof was done by a lamppost.
So there was
the roof.
There's diesel spilled on the floor?
Yeah,
or on the ground?
Bus. Someone had overfilled the bus.
Oh,
first thing it comes to a
no.
roundabout, round it goes, glug, 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 out of the side of the tank, and yeah. But
Do you ever
feel I went sideways. The mate who was in front of me, he was the first warning that I was about to go sideways because I was going to go around the outside of him. So he went a bit sideways. I went very sideways, and my mate behind me very nearly went into the back of me. So it was one of those moments where everyone's like, "Whoa, okay, well that's not us. That's something there." Yeah.
I feel like that's a lawsuit for the bus company.
Maybe nowadays, but back again, this is late 90s, early 2000s. It was just one of those. Minis were a throwaway thing. You just went, well, that one's dead. I'll get another one.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel that, some of the parts from the older crashed minis might have been slightly cursed?
Ooh. Ooh, good question.
Because I think some of them are in that.
And that's not on the road yet, so...
No, not on the road yet. No, but it has been. That's been 3 years on the road, 2 years on the road. I don't think if I move the camera down here, you can just see there's a tyre and a subframe on the floor underneath the back of it. That subframe was in the first one.
Oh, okay.
So the subframe was in the first car. It got taken out, put in the second car because it was I found it in a scrapyard. It was a Rover one. One of my first jobs was a rear subframe. So yeah, that's
I feel like Nick's nickname should be Scrapyard, and yours should not be Scrapyard, John.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not living up to the expectations now.
Nick is the OG Scrapyard.
Yeah. Have you ever been to a scrapyard where the cars are stacked 4 cars high?
Yeah.
So that was all late 90s, early 2000s. Until about 2005, they started going, you've got to have them in cages. But this was 3 or 4 cars up, and we had to climb up there, and it was a brand new subframe in the top car. But we had to get it down. I mean, it was just, yeah, it was fun. It was educational. You learned about physics very quickly.
Yeah, what goes up must come down eventually.
Must come down. Yeah, that one's up there's a bit sketchy. I don't want to get in that one. It's, teetering in the wind,
The things that we used to be able to do.
Yeah.
Right.
No
There's
safety
very
in
few
mind.
scrapyards left like that, and if they are, they're not, operating as scrapyards. They're just dumping grounds now.
Yeah.
But they were, ours. You could walk in with a toolbox full of tools and walk out with relays, fuses, light bulbs, bits of wire, a whole wiring loom, rocker boxes. You could walk out with more than you came in with, and they'd check your toolbox on the way in and go, yeah. Or you say,
Yeah.
I've got this bit. I've got this, and they go, okay, there you go, that's it. And they don't even question it. It was just
Wow.
that's where everybody would do that in a scrapyard. It was just a sign of the times. I've got fuses have gone. Let's go down to the scrappy, get some more fuses. You wouldn't buy them.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh,
So
back when times were simpler.
Yeah.
Scrap this second Mini, and you immediately got a third Mini, or?
Yeah, I got a third Mini. That Mini is still on the road. That's one of the ones I sold. So I'm trying to think. The guy that owns it now? He's on Instagram. He's Terry Rosa Thomas, I think is his name. But it was a flip front when I had it, but it was still Clubman Heritage, 1971 car, and he's got a really hot 998 going in it. It went to one of my other friends and to another friend, and now it's gone to him. It's nice to know that it's still there. It's just been passed from person to person. It's an ongoing project for some time, but that one's still well alive.
That's cool. That's nice to see it.
Yeah, Mini number 4, someone pulled out in front of me. So scrapyard will know. The staggered mini roundabouts where you end up with 2 mini roundabouts really close together. Have you ever come across those? So an old guy, I was coming up to the roundabout again, not being silly this time, sensible driving, got 2 girls in the car I quite like, and we're coming up this mini roundabout.
Do not want to. I like your style, Nick.
Oh, Nick.
You got a lot of nicknames. Now I'm figuring out what your nicknames are.
But came up to this mini roundabout, and an old boy just pulled straight out, and there was enough time for 6 meters of skid marks before I hit his car. He just pulled straight. He couldn't turn his head. When he got out of the car, he was sort of.
That's scary.
Yeah. So again, it was a lot of. Yeah, I had that. It was a white Cooper replica with a 998. Remember they did the Japanese export Cooper kit for the 998 with the twin carbs. Yeah. So I bought this car off a friend, and it was the most expensive car. £2,000 this was, and it's the most expensive car I'd ever bought. And I'd used my savings that were potentially going to get me in. My mum and dad had saved up for me over the years. I'm going to buy a car with it, and they were like, "Really, a car?" Yes, a car. So I'd got this Mini. Little Phil, bless his heart, he's not with us anymore. He'd had the head blueprinted. The manifolds had been matched up with the twin carbs, and it was just so nicely done. It was just a white J-Reg Cooper lookalike, beautiful wheels, and it was just all I wanted to do with it. I'm not going to do anything. Maybe just customise, like put a white dashboard in it to go with the white bodywork, just to do some little subtle mods, and I'll just be happy living with this. And that was around for 8 days.
Oh my God.
And that's when the old boy pulled out in front of me.
Oh no.
So that's Mini number 3 written off.
You don't have much luck.
No, I didn't have much luck. And because there was a bit of argument, he said, "You were speeding." I was like, well, the police said that the 6 meters of skid marks and the damage to the cars is suggesting that I wasn't speeding, but he protested I was, and it went insurance companies back and forward, legal representations and all of it. By this point, I had legal cover, so it was handled there, and eventually they did. His eyesight wasn't good enough. He should have declared his lack of head mobility. There was a few things that came out of it, but they 9 months later, they ruled in my favour. At which point, I became insurable again. For that 9 months, I
Jeez.
needed a lift. I needed to ride my bike to and from work. I was bus mechanic at the time, and I was able to drive the buses on the bus insurance because it hadn't been deemed as my fault. But nobody else, because I had this hanging over my head, no one would insure me on a car.
That's crazy.
So, yeah. And that 9 months came to an end. I'm sure it was November 2002, and that's when that car came along. So that was bought off my friend's dad, and it's a 1979 Clubman that I stupidly turned into a round nose.
Oh, Nick.
The financial decisions you make, and you think, dear God, why did I do that? But yeah, round about 2005, it was needing some work. So I thought, you know what, I'll pull that off the road. I was getting into building a race car at the time, and I thought, you know what, I'll get rid of the race car. Rather than finishing my one, I will buy one that's done so I can just race that. And this was then going to be done up as like a fast road car, maybe stand-in race car in case I broke the other race car. So done to the same spec. And I ran out of luck, I think, with buying Clubman parts, because around the mid-2000s, the inner wing panels and the outer wing panels were getting a little bit scarce. So either people were asking a lot of money for them, or I didn't have that kind of money, or you just couldn't get the part I was looking for. Or you couldn't get a genuine part, which Clubmans need genuine parts. But yeah, I just decided I'll get round nose inner wing stuff, and I'll cut the inner wings off, put the round nose ones on, flip front it, doesn't matter. It's just a Clubman, you know.
Just a Clubman.
Just a Clubman, yeah. 12 years later, I've spent, was it nearly 700 quid on panels just to put the Clubman front back on it. And I can't even, you'll say I can't afford to. I have to spend my money wisely because my mini budget is limited. And so when it comes to spending money on the inner wing panels, I would love to have the inner wing panels, but they're £300 each. Plus the VAT or something, or 250 plus VAT and 300 plus the VAT or something. They're silly money, and they go, it's the whole inner wing back to the door hinge. And I don't need that much of the inner wing. I just need the first little bit.
Yeah.
I can't justify the money for it. So I've rebuilt my own custom, that bulkhead and the inner wing bit as they join the Clubman wings, because it's really obvious when you put a Clubman on a round nose. I don't know if any of you guys have ever spotted it before, but you can tell that just where the bonnet finishes on a round nose to where the bonnet finishes on a Clubman, it's such an obvious giveaway. And where I had the Clubman hinges and it was a Clubman, I don't feel like I'm doing it an injustice with my custom parts to make it look Clubman. I'm just not spending the money on heritage parts. It's silly money.
Yeah,
that
makes sense, though.
Yeah. So, and as with me, I go down a rabbit hole with things. So, have you seen the bulkhead I've done at all? The custom flat bulkhead.
Yeah, I think I have. I just I don't have it pulled up at the moment. I've been following it on Instagram and all your little updates.
I think there's a guy called Chris Den on Instagram, and he had, rather than the hole where the bulkhead goes, behind he's got a twin cam BMW conversion like I'm going to do, and he has got
here it is.
A totally flat bulkhead panel with some cool writing on it. And I saw that and I was like, yeah, I'm doing that. That's absolutely, that just looks mint. And so I went about really trying to figure out how he did it. Yeah. And it's I'm so happy with it. I mean, I could walk down there and show you, but I'd be worried about falling off the Wi-Fi. But it's done. It's all painted. It looks beautiful, and I'm so happy with it. And I'm just looking forward to transferring that into the other parts of the car, because it's the first time I've really put my effort into making something look good.
Yeah.
Before, having it just running was enough, and now I want
doing the little things
that
now.
Next step.
Going to the extra lengths, doing where I'm not happy with welding, grinding the welding back. I've blown a hole through. Okay, that's fine. spend the time, patch it up, grind it back, patch it up, grind it back until it looks right. So that's, I think that's where my skill set has now evolved to.
I think a lot of people get to that point as well. I'm at that point as well. I got the car to the stage where, okay, I just need it driving. I just want to go out and have fun with it. And then since I've taken it back off the road again for next year, I'm now like, okay, I need to spend the time. I need to make this better than what I did last time.
Yeah. I think the annoying thing for me is that car ended up, that was on the road. I finished it 2007. And I enjoyed it. 2007, a couple of track days, 2008, 2009, did the Mini World Action Day. A lot of fast road use with my mate. I had a friend with a Mark 1 Golf GTI. We just go on drives, where do you fancy going? I don't know, let's go out. Near us is a place called Bradwell. And it's an old abandoned World War II airfield. And there's an old nuclear power station there. But it's just a big expanse of land. And we just go out there, and it's one of the darkest places in Essex. So you can just go out, and we go out there for a bit, and you stop and we watch a meteor shower. Just sit around and chat, and then it's a nice sort of 45-minute drive out there, chill out, 45-minute drive back, or we'd get a chain of cars and we'd do a little country road run.
Yeah.
It was some real good fun in that car for those 3 years. And then 2009, I as I mentioned previously, I think I mentioned it, I bought a race car. I wanted to do rallycross.
Good man.
I'd been
right up Sean's alley.
A friend of mine was doing rallycross himself, 2006, 7, 8, 9, and I was one of his. He called us pit bitches.
I like that.
Yep.
He was quite hard with the car. A very fast driver, really good driver. Came second place more times than he deserved in the championship. But rallycross is really hard on a classic Mini. So we kind of got to know the car, nut and bolt check, all the subframe, steering arms, check for ball joints after every race, and we just kind of had a nice rhythm. There's two of us helping him out, and he would get out the car and he'd just sit there and have a drink of water, and you could just see the cogs were going with he's like got a data download in his head, and he'd run the race back through inside his head, and we'd leave him alone sort of 5-10 minutes, and then you go saying to him, so how was the car, do you want to make any changes? And he'd sit there and go, first 2 laps it was understeering into these corners, once the tyres warmed up it was oversteering here. We'll do a bit with the tyre pressures, we'll put a bit more in this, take some out of there. And you could just see the data download was going. Where he'd been doing this for a little while, he knew what changes he needed to make. And we just we called him having a bit of a download. He'd just sit there and just be sitting there thinking. And we're just nut and bolting the car, making sure it wasn't overheating, because all the mud on rallycross, they overheat. So we'd nut and bolt check the car, any maintenance work needed doing, we'd do it, and then we'd say, what changes? And he'd just say, do this, do that. He knew what he wanted to do. We didn't have to think about it, but we were as you say, the pit bitches. Did that for 3 years with him, and then he's like, I want to go on and do something else. At which point he's always first or second. And I thought, what? If I'm going to do something, I'm going to buy that car. I know the car. I know it's fast. Probably pushed the engine a little too far. Because again, he has his own rolling road dyno. The company that he worked for. Am I allowed to do shouts on here?
Of course you can.
Yeah, you can do it.
By all means, we encourage it.
Go to At Speed Racing. So Ian at Speed Racing is my friend, has been since college, and he did a lot of testing himself. We tested long intake lengths, short intake lengths, small carbs with long runs, different lengths ram pipes. They tested everything. We found that actually running it lean, kind of like the borderlines of naughty lean, with the cam and the compression that it had, the leaner you got, suddenly the power just started to go up a little bit. But you're right on the edge of detonation.
You know what they say.
So it's one of those real
leaner
fine balancing moments. Yeah. Leaner is meaner. And it was mean. The amount of times... in rallycross at the time, you got to drop 2 scores. Your 2 lowest scores didn't count. So you knew you could go out and have a couple of engine failures, and it didn't matter because you wouldn't lose those as long as you performed well in the rest. And running the lean the lean piston, you ended up what we think now is happening is the ring gap for the heat was just standard, and we weren't gapping enough. So the hotter they're getting, the rings are butting up, and then they would do that with the piston ring lands. Oof. So you would rip the side of the piston out, and it would destroy a piston, but the bores were fine. So you could just rebuild it, standard piston, straight back in the hole. Couple of hours work, and that engine's back running on the dyno again. So it wasn't the end of the world, but we kind of learned that you were pushing it just right on the edge of what you could get away with. But again, he came second place in the championship. Fantastic. 3 times, I think it was. So you knew what you were doing when you repeated it. It's not just luck.
That was the same shelled car throughout those 3 seasons as well.
Yeah. Wow. I've got the DVDs of it. The videos are on YouTube somewhere if you can find them. That I did. I don't know if the ones previous are, but I did 6 races in 2009 after I bought the car, before the same inevitable thing happened with the piston rings at Pembury, and the first day at Pembury, I was trying to think what that was. Rounds 5 and 6, I think, or might have been 7 or 8. But yeah, the first round was at Croft. First 2 rounds were at Croft, actually. Brilliant track. The next one was at Blighton. Actually, brilliant track, but totally different kettle of fish. In the dry, Blighton, the mud at Blighton gets so grippy, you leave a black tyre mark round the mud.
Wow.
So maybe at the beginning of the day, but as it gets polished through the day, all the cars going around, there's a little black line of tarmac from your rubber from your tyres stuck, and you can get so much grip on the mud, and it got faster and faster through the day. So Blighton in the dry was great fun. In the wet, it was like driving on ice. So you come into that first corner at Blighton, and you're like, oh, and everyone's sitting there going, oh, you're dancing, brake clutch, brake, like gear, stop.
That's car number 5, John.
Yeah, honestly, you all 3 pedals and the gears all at the same time whilst trying to steer and race with 3 people, 5 people that are behind you that want to get past you. So, yeah, Blighton in the wet wasn't so fun. And I was starting to think to myself, maybe I've bitten off more than I can chew. Maybe I need more experience. And then I had to skip Ireland, because going to Ireland is mega money. And we went to Pembury, was the last race I managed to do. Pembury, for those who don't know, is as far into Wales as you can get without speaking Welsh. Because if you go into the towns there and you say, "Can I get some food?" If you don't speak Welsh, they don't speak to you. That's how it was at the time. So it's proper Welsh Wales, and it's a brilliant. Pembury's a brilliant circuit, so fast, and that's where I think I learned to dance. You come around the hairpin at the first corner, and they changed the rallycross track now, but it was a really fast left-hander that went then off onto the dirt, and then it gradually got tighter and tighter and tighter into a right-hand bend. So you're on the dirt, you're doing 90 mile an hour or so, you touch the brake, the car wants to oversteer. You go back on the throttle, it straightens up. You touch the brake, and you've got to slow the car down for a 90-degree right-hand bend as this, you're doing that, go, stop. So I realised that there's a way to sort of almost brake, and then, like you would with a heel and toe, you can throttle the pedal while braking to keep the car in check whilst doing the gear change, whilst catching a slide. It's a hell of a thing to learn, but it's one of those moments where you get the light bulb. You go, I can feel it. And suddenly I was able to sort of, I got taken out twice. My 2 heats I was taken out, and on the final I finished 3rd. I'll take that. The 2 heats I got T-boned. Yeah, so I'll take that. That was my best results. When I got taken out, I overtook 2 cars at the hairpin. I left, when you leave the braking so late, and you can feel the back of the car sort of going,
lifts up a little bit, yeah.
It lifts up a little bit and it starts to skip. And I left the braking, so I literally you could see the other cars coming up to the corner going, whir, whir, slowly but just 4, 3, 2, and I'm coming up to the corner going, right. I kind of skidded on opposite lock through the head of Pembury, past 2 cars who were thinking, where the hell did he come from? And I got myself back up to 3rd place, I think it was. That was great. Honestly, if anyone ever wants to try motorsport, rallycross, do it. It's great fun.
I've been saying it for years, Nick.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to start following rallycross more.
Even the first motorsport experience for my kids was rallycross at Liddon Hill.
Fantastic circuit.
the supercars, the Metro 6R4s there. Even we got to meet, because you get occasional celeb drivers, we got to meet Katie Munnings. I don't know if you know who she is.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
Katie's Amazing Machines from the kids TV program. So yeah, we got to meet Katie Munnings. Got a photo with her. She was really nice to talk to. I said, "What brings you here to racing?" And she's like, "Oh, not expecting people to go, photo, thanks, bye." So you start talking to people, because the rallycross pits are so open. You can just talk to people.
That's how it should be.
Chatty. Yeah, quite chatty. She was just trying to get some more experience for doing the Extreme E, because it's a very similar sort of concept to what she's doing now. And she was racing in the Suzuki Swifts, I think it was. So it was just, it's a brilliant experience for my kids to get to meet her. She's got a nice picture with the kids. My daughter was in a wheelchair at the time, having had an operation, so she chatting nicely to my daughter. I love it. I love rallycross.
Wow, fantastic! That's so cool to hear.
Yeah, really great experience for them. And my boy's now well into Formula One and truck racing, so I haven't tried him on mini racing yet. I'm going to in a couple next weekend, I think it is, mini racing.
That's what I was just about to say. Like, are you going to try to get your kids into rallycross or some sort of racing?
My boy he's only 7 and he's just old enough to get in go-karts. So our local track is Brentwood. And he's only in the Bambino kart, so they're only allowed 3 on the track at a time. And he gets in the kart on his first go, just drives it round. He's slowing down for the corners, getting a feel for it. At the same time, he's playing Formula 1 23, and he's learning racing lines and braking. So the next time he gets in the go-kart, you see all of a sudden the cogs are turning. He's like, he's got it. He's a racer. Every time he gets out, Daddy, what's my time? And
good man.
September, he moves from the beginner Bambinos into the advanced Bambinos. So he's
that's cool.
He's had a half going one, and he set the fastest time of the day. But again, there's only 3 kids running at a time, and they're not allowed to race. It's not competition; it's just experience. Which at 7, I couldn't ask for better for him.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's super cool, and it's kind of funny because everyone kind of gives kids shit for like video games and stuff like that nowadays. But in this instance, it's like you said, he's realizing, and because a lot of those games too, it shows the racing line, like you follow the red line or whatever. So if he's doing that, and then he's like, wait a second, like you said, the wheels start turning in his head. This is what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah. Now he's going to be freaking whipping that go-kart around.
Yeah. The last time we went there was nobody on track for the session before us. And I was like, are you struggling? Is there anywhere you want to have a look at? He said, yeah, I don't do well on this bit, the windy bit through the middle. I was like, so I had an ask in the office, can we have a little walk around the track? And he said, yes. We had a little track walk. And he's like, so where do I turn for this bit? And I just doing a track walk like you would with, and to get there and see it, he's like, it doesn't look like this when I'm driving. So I sit on the floor, and he sits down, he's like, oh yeah, this is how it looks. And it's just getting him to realise that actually, when you sit down, you get down low, that's what you see. That's how you look. This is where you need to be, because here you can see that. And he's like, oh, you just, it's going. Yeah, he's really good on the F1 now. He's turned off. We eked it off. The steering assistance is gone. The brake assistance is now off. I'm starting him to eke back on the traction control now. And we're only on a controller. He's not on a steering wheel and pedals. I haven't got that yet.
Yeah,
but it's just getting him used to the progressive inputs, the steady inputs, and thinking about how the weight, without even realising that's what he's learning. That's what he's learning. And it translates into the car for him. It might not 100%. For everyone, but sim racing for him at his age, absolutely.
I bet it would. I bet it would.
Maybe the next FIA World Rallycross champion.
Yeah, it would be.
There we go.
He keeps saying, "I want to be an F1 driver." I don't know that I've got the means to get him to be an F1 driver, but a racing driver, I can't say never. Because Fernando Alonso, Lewis Hamilton came from humble beginnings.
Senna.
I'm trying to think who else there was. There's quite a few F1 drivers out there have come from humble. Liam Lawson, another one. He's a future F1 star from humble beginnings. He's literally not really got much of a penny to his name. His parents just about had enough to keep him in a cart. Just his manager worked extra shifts at a school doing janitorial work and stuff like that. So you can do it. But I said to him,
if he's young enough and he's good enough, you could get sponsorships and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
that'd be really cool. that's the part that I never got when I was racing.
Mm-hmm.
I approached a couple of companies and said I was doing racing and would they be interested in sponsoring me? And they said, have you got any results to show me? I was like, no, this is going to be my first season. It's like, how do we know you're going to be? And he goes, well, I can, yeah. I might not have mentioned that. But
well, matter of fact, I do have some results.
I tried to sell myself, but I didn't really. Yeah, I didn't really know how to sell myself. So I thought if I can get through that first year, it was more expense than I was planning on, and I didn't really have the money behind me to do it. And learning from it now, I should have gone a year later. I should have saved up. I blew half the budget I had on the car. So
yeah,
and then I think we were doing 500 quid a meeting. So yeah, the entry was 295, I think, entry fee for the race. And then by the time you've dragged the car 6 hours, and you're 6 hours back, and you've fed your mate who's come with you to help you out, and your tyres wear out after a race, spend the money.
Yeah. But at the same time, what would you rather spend that money on?
Yeah, definitely the car. Yeah,
exactly.
This is the discussions I have with the wife. Sometimes she doesn't understand it. So
yeah, it produced these memories. Now you have the itch for it still. Your son seems like he has the itch for it. So it's all going to come back full circle. I think that's going to be cool.
We actually sat down and I've got the DVDs of me racing, and me and him sat down and just watched the races. And he was initially a little disappointed that I hadn't been just winning everything, because for him, second place is the first loser. If he doesn't get fastest lap, if he gets second place in a race and without the fastest lap, he's like, so could have done better there. I messed up here. I was like, what? Just trying to manage expectations, but it's one of them things that when you read into F1 drivers, you're like, yeah, that's what Fernando Alonso was like. That's what Lewis Hamilton was like. They could not. It hurts them to get second place. Yeah, I'll take a second, but I want the win.
Ricky Bobby in the making.
Yeah. If you ain't first, you last.
It's a great accent. I love it.
We do a bit of shake and bake. Every time he comes out of the car, shake and bake.
Shake and bake.
I love that.
Oh, man, that's good. Well, Nick, tell us a little bit about your YouTube.
I apologize if I'm... Sorry?
No, we love the rambling. We love these stories, and it's interesting, and it's a great topic to talk about. And I think there's a lot of people on this that listen that enjoy racing and are in your similar situation. Maybe they raced a little bit, now they have a kid that wants to race or something like that. Yeah, absolutely. Tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel. When did you start it? What's going on that? Just give us a little breakdown. Plug it.
Can you give us any pointers for ours?
Your channel, to be fair, I got to and I was like, wow, there's loads of stuff here, and I've just got to start finding time to look through it. Yours looks pretty cool. I mean, you've done pretty good there.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
There's the thing with YouTube. I started just wanting to sort of. It was just after lockdown. A lot of people were starting car projects, and there was a lot going on. And I thought, you know what? I've been talking to cameras in a jokey kind of way on mini shows and stuff for years. I've been doing it since I was in my late teens. Someone turned up with a camcorder, and I'd be doing a running commentary. So I've kind of just carried that on into this. I started in 2021, and it was just little help videos on people were asking for on YouTube, not on YouTube, on Facebook, on some of the groups and on some of the forums. Were like, I'm trying to do this, and anyone tell me how to do it? Is there any guidance? So I was like, I'll show you. I'll just record it. I'll show you how I did that. And it kind of started like that, and it snowballed. And it's been 3 years of learning a lot, and I'm just starting to get the hang of the storytelling aspect.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Because you're following a build, but also if it's just someone, I'm going to do this and now I'm going to do this. It's not entertaining. It's not.
Exactly.
It's like with Project Binky.
Yeah.
It's entertaining to watch, and it tells a story whilst you get to watch a mini being built.
Exactly.
And I'm not trying to copy them. I'm just being me. One of the things that I thought from the start was there's no point me trying to imitate someone. I may as well just be me, because if people like it, then they like me and I haven't got to try. It's
100%.
if you watch the videos, this is what you get. So, but yeah,
that's what it is, though. It's about your personality.
Yeah. So you started with the little help guides and stuff, and then as I started doing more work to the car, I didn't record the beginning of this project. I'd already kind of started it, which I feel a bit like I missed an opportunity there, especially as I started in lockdown. I didn't have the equipment to do it. I didn't have a phone that was good enough to record on. I've recently just upped to my audio set up with the lav mics and stuff, because that really makes bad audio I can't deal with when I watch a video. Bad video I can cope with to a degree. Low quality video, I get it. It is hard, but
see, this is the conversation that Mike and I keep having since we've been since we started doing our YouTube stuff. Is we feel that people would rather watch bad quality over good content rather than good quality bad content.
Yeah. As long as the audio is good, as long as you can hear people's voices and you can hear what they're saying and the story comes across, that's more important than 4K video. Yeah, so I think I started with, I think it was an iPhone 5, and it was getting on. And editing was clunky. Excuse me. Yeah, I've kind of like, every time I've got a phone upgrade, I've been looking at camera specs. And then I've kind of got a vlogger kit with an external microphone, which I used a bit. It's one of those things when you've got a fixed microphone, you've got to remember when you're talking to camera, it points at you. And then when you're talking to the car, you've got to take it off, turn it around and put it back on and talk to the camera. And then you're looking at something. And the wireless mic has really made that so much easier. Honestly, it's a game changer.
Yep. That's definitely something that I want to grab too, just for one, for the podcast, and two, for the YouTube, because on the podcast, when we start going to shows and we want to start doing like kind of short little podcast interviews, and it'd be great to have little lav mics or whatever they're called, lapel mics or whatever they're called. But those come in handy for sure.
Lapel mics, again, for me, I don't buy brand new, because for me it's just a waste of money. So I wait until what I want is available at a reasonable price, reasonably local. So this was 3 miles down the road at about half retail price. The guy was a videographer that had just moved on to the they call it the Rode Wireless Go, and he just moved on to the Rode Wireless Pro. So he's like, well, I'm just moving all my old stuff on, and I've upped my level, which for him doing wedding videos and stuff like that, I get it. For me, that's perfect. Don't need anything else.
Perfect. Yeah.
Again, then you learn about making the sound work, because if you've just got a lav mic, there's no background noise. So then you have to have your second mic set up to capture background noise so that you've got atmosphere to the sound. And my little brother's been a real help with that, because he is also a videographer, does drone videos. His wife is a photographer, wedding photographer. So between them, they do lots of stuff. And he's a musician as well, my brother. He's one of those people who does everything.
He's good at everything that he touches.
Yeah, my theme music that I had running on the videos until the most recent one is the first one where I've dropped it. The full theme tune intro I had. And I dropped it because when you watch the YouTube analytics, you see a few seconds in, intro starts. Okay. Cut the intro. Right, okay. But yeah, he wrote and produced all that music for me. He did it. He's got a studio set up at home, so he wrote that for me. He said, I'll make you something. It'll be really good. So he made that for me, and and then he's been a real help with getting the sound set up how I wanted it to sound, if that makes any sense.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's been a lot of learning, but at the same time trying to tell stories and trying to get on with that, because that's quite time consuming on its own, and then you've got to think about how to deliver that. And I don't
camera angles, lighting,
camera angles, storytelling, and it's very hard to kind of keep all of those plates spinning at once.
Yeah.
And then so as I've done here, I've not there's no prep. It's ad lib, and then I have to rein myself back in edit. The last one I posted up, I think it ended up being 19 minutes, but I had 37 minutes filmed. So literally half of it just goes straight in the bin.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where, as you can see now, having watched this, I ramble on. So
we've done that too.
I do enjoy it. Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's
It's
cool.
an
How
enjoyable
much more is
experience, and I like it. Sorry.
How much more is on the project? What else you got going on in that car to get it back roadworthy?
Right. Until I discovered the boot floor was rusty, and the rear was about to blow through. It was a case of about to put the engine in it, and now I've discovered that things have been delayed a little bit. But the boot floor is in, which is a spoiler for anyone who ends up watching this before I put the video out. But it's in place now. I've got to get there's a fiberglass, or the sides are in. I've got to put the fiberglass boot floor itself in, and I've kind of got to join that into what's left of the back of the seat. Fuel line's in. There's a bit of repair work to do on the inner sills and the back of the heel board. And at that point, all I wanted to do is just strip all the paint off the bottom of the floor underneath and just paint it again underneath. So again, the underneath is then at least got a couple of years where it won't go rotten.
Yeah,
fingers crossed.
I wanted this at the beginning of this year, especially when I got the paintwork done. I was thinking, you know what, I might have this actually operational late summer, early autumn. Now I'm looking at, I've lost 6 months basically on doing the back end of it. So hopefully springtime next year will be when I'm up and running. But
I'm
going to be done in the summer. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes.
Go on. If I can do it, you can do
it. Yeah, but that means I've got to buy a ticket in advance, and that's one of those scary things where I might then end up going not in the car and being disappointed. So I'm kind of
do it. It's a timeline.
I know,
come on, Nick. Come on, you used to be cool, man.
I used to be cool, yeah. Southern mini days. I used to be cool, yeah. When I saw it was going to be in the UK, I was thinking to myself, yeah, you know what I could do? Even if I end up just doing the day ticket, I might do that. But
yeah,
it's the finances side of things at the moment, because a ticket, they aren't cheap for the Ironman, which they're never going to be, I know. But if I put money into that, that's then something I can't buy for that.
Exactly.
That's fair. That makes sense.
That's the tightrope I'm walking. Whereas
I get you.
So far I've entirely funded that project by selling stuff that I've hoarded all these years. To give you something, I'm going to just move you around to give you some idea. This rack here is all that's left that I haven't sold.
Wow.
So I've got loads and loads and loads of stuff sitting on the rack. Some of it's got to go back in the car.
That looks like Ironman money.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. There's a lot that most of the good stuff's gone now. It's only the little bits. I've the old cylinder head, the Weber carburetor. I had a spare Weber carburetor because when you have one, you need a spare.
Of course.
All the SU carburetors are gone. Most of the valuable stuff's gone, but all of that stuff has funded everything I've done. Very little's come out of my pocket. It's all come out of selling stuff from the garage. So, and I've started a couple of, I won't call them business ventures, ideas of making stuff then that I can sell to then fund the project. And YouTube was another part of that puzzle, because if I can just enjoy my hobby, making videos, and then get to the point where ad revenue pays me, that might actually, even if it just pays for my editing equipment or pays for filming stuff, it means that part of my project or my hobby doesn't cost so much.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of hobby,
yes,
Paddy Probe.
Ooh, Paddy Probe.
Paddy Probe, Nick.
Nick doesn't know the Paddy Probe.
I don't know.
No. He is fresh meat for the Paddy Probe.
I'm really green here. I'm thinking, is this something I should know about? Do I need to just pause you and Google this?
Sean,
yeah,
Sean,
just
get
make
the
sure you're on incognito mode for it.
Sean, get the rubber gloves out, please. Scalpel.
Uh-oh.
Well, if you guys are green peas, like Nick over here, Paddy Probe is a lovely set of questions Lovely set of questions, mostly Mini related, and that we ask all of our guests, and we kind of rotate them through, and we like to compare and contrast our.
See, this is where I should have watched a few more of your videos. I should have got to the end of some, but children
should
interrupt
have.
me. But still,
See?
I love my kids, and I wouldn't change them for the world.
Oh, man. Well, let's start with this one. You've had a lot of minis, so we kind of know that answer. But do you have a least favorite mini variant?
Oh, least favorite mini variant. Are we talking classic, or do you stretch
classic.
into the BMW realms?
Oh, he said the word, Mike. He said the word. He said it. He said it.
I said the B word. I'm sorry. I have to say the B word because a part of my car is going to be a B word. Probably the estates. The Clubman estate or the Woody estate. They look quite. They're quite nice to look at in a sort of like, oh look, it's a mini estate. But for me, I'd love to have one, but you can't put seatbelts in the back for your kids. There is nowhere, unless you start going real custom metal, like putting reinforcements in. There's nowhere that's designed to carry load. Where round back, saloons were actually designed to carry seatbelts.
How about you put a half cage in the boot and then have harness bars for the kids in the back seat?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah,
and it keeps it motorsport as well.
The amount of times I've looked at maybe getting like a mini for family use, for me taking the wife and probably not the wife, but definitely the kids out in. Just to sort of like, because they love the look. I mean, my wife doesn't mind. She loved being a passenger in that car, but she's terrified of wasps. So opening a window to let hot air out of the car is not an option for her. So again, it would have to be a Jap import if we were going to have anything because it's got the AC. But yeah, I think that my least favourite would probably be the estate variant because I can't use them without modifying something about them. It'd have to be, no seatbelt mounts in the back.
All right. Question number 2. 10-inch, 12-inch, or 13-inch?
Okay. That's a tricky I've tried I tried all three back to back with the same tyre back when Yokohama made a 008 for all three sizes. And I did back to back at Castle Combe in my Mini at the time, with just swapping wheels around from friends' cars and everything. And 10s are more playful. You don't get ultimate grip, but there's no bite, not so much bite on the steering, but you have more fun. You slide, you drift. You know the edge of grip is coming because the car starts to float. It starts to dance. 13s, you have ultimate grip. Fireworks again. What?
The timing.
13-inch wheels, you have ultimate grip. Yeah, ultimate grip, and it's grip, 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 death. There is very little impending warning of doom. It's grip or nothing. If you push a 13 too far, literally you're just going to die.
I like that.
And 12-inch wheels are sort of a happy medium between those. They're quite a lot of point on the turn-in and quite a lot of grip, but they start to get playful near the limit, like a 10 would, but not to the same degree. You still get that impending sort of like I could die at any moment feeling that the 13s give you when they start running out of grip. For me, it's 10s. I love 10s, but I love the look of a 13. A really slammed low Mini, especially a Clubman, with some 13 by 5.5, 13 by 6. They don't have to be too big. Maybe wooden picket arches, without not really wide stance, sort of just subtle but low, slightly outside the arches 13s on a Clubman. That's a beautiful look. I did have that look as well. But that would bring me back to mentioning the B word because they weren't mini wheels.
Oh,
they were E20. It might have been E10 BBS wheels. BMW E10.
That probably look pretty good.
They're not the right stud pattern, but they're close enough and they're the right offset.
There you go.
Hey, if it works, it works.
That was a good look. One of my favourite looks.
Love that.
Like that.
Oh, that's cool. It's a good answer. Good answer. And it's so I don't think everyone's experienced all of them. I have only done 13 and 10, so good to know.
Yeah,
good to know.
Having done all three back to back at the same track with the same same compound, it was a real eye opener.
That's a cool
for
test.
General Day
for sure.
the 10. Yeah. Again, if I could do it again, I'd video it because it would have been great footage at the time. But live and learn.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, we always wrap it up with this last question here. If you could have a drink, coffee, beer, tea, drink of your choice with one mini celeb, who would it be and why?
Oh, that is a real pickle.
That's the Patty Probe for you, baby.
Yeah.
Pickle Nick.
Possibly with Mr. John Cooper. I've met Mr. Swift a couple of times. Not that he will remember. And I met Mr. Zcars. I've forgotten his name now. But the guy who started out with Zcars. And I've spoken to some of the newer, like the guy Specialist Components. Again, forgotten his name. But I've spoken to them a few times. You know, interesting people to speak to. But I think Mr. John Cooper himself, the man who had the idea for making this little city car go fast and really bouncing him some ideas around with him in period would be really a real cool chat, or just finding about what his thinking was or what he would have liked to have done that Rover wouldn't let him do. I think that would be a real cool kind of like sit down cup of coffee chat.
Oh, definitely.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
I feel like out of all the ones we've asked, I feel like we have not gotten John Cooper before. Do you remember, Sean?
Really?
If we have, it may have been one, maybe two, but nothing is in depth of seeing how his brain works, sitting down with a coffee sort of type answer with it. So I like that.
Not to throw a swerve on that, but the only other way you could look at it would be to have a chat with Mr. Isagonis about what he thought about what Mr. Cooper had done to the car.
Oh,
there you go.
What do you think about what John...
Those two in the same room having that conversation would be fly on the wall sort of stuff.
You ruined my car. No, I made it better. they were on a similar vein, but I think they went about things in different ways. But they would be... Mr. Cooper, I think, would be the man. Yeah.
Nice.
I love that answer.
That's
I love that.
Answer.
Nick, I appreciate you being on, man. This has been a great episode. A lot of fun stories to hear, and everyone go check out his project on Instagram, Nix_projects. Check out his YouTube. Anything else you want the people to know?
My YouTube is just my name, Nick Thornhill. So youtube.com/Nick Thornhill. Please go and look at it. Please be kind about my older videos. I was still learning at the beginning.
You got to start somewhere, Nick.
We may have lost Nick, but check him out. Check us out. Minilife.37, Gold Tooth Cray, Scrapyard, Mountainy Classic, and Sean, you got anything else for the people?
If you can't drive fast, drive really... No, if you can't drive fast, drive... No, if you can't drive safe, drive really fast with your eyes shut. Oh my God, why did that... My brain just stopped braining. In other words, I've got nothing else to say, Mike.
On that note, I will catch you on the next one.
See you later.
Drive with your eyes closed.